How's it going, everybody? It's me, Hokyoku, and in today's video we're going to be going over Mualani, one of the new characters that is going to be coming in Natlan. And in this video we're going to be basically giving you an early character build guide for this character, basically giving you the best weapon and artifact choices available currently in the game. That will allow us to create basically a backup build and also look to the future and see what kind of builds will be good for her when she does release. There are a few things that we do know, basically, that will help us basically choose artifacts in terms of category. The first being that since she is a Hydro character and she does have a lot of HP focused type things with her kit, and she also is kind of normal attack focused, which is going to be something we look at quite a bit. Probably already have seen from her teaser art, she is shark themed, so kind of like Garagura a little bit. You can kind of think that, but a lot of her abilities and animations are focused around that type of things. The main positive things about her kit that I know is that she's basically got good maneuverability, she has a very good damage, and she also has just some fun factor to her as well. The Thrilling Tales of the Dragon Slayers is a HP scaling book that fits a lot of those specifications that we need for a weapon for Mualani. And the reason why I bring this one up is because eventually when Mualani gets used more so as a either secondary DPS or with a lot of quick rotation team comps, I think Thrilling Tales of the Dragon Slayer will be very good, basically because of its passive that can boost out the attack of the character who takes the field after her. Now, since she doesn't scale with attack, this wouldn't be as good for if you're trying to run her as a hyper carry with another person using this catalyst to give her attack, because she does not use attack really at all. So that's basically going to be beneficial for whatever other characters that you have in your team, aka basically any attack scaler or hyper carry that you want to run that scales off of attack. The Widsith is an option to consider mainly for its passive buffs and also the amount of crit damage you can get. You can get 55% crit damage off of this, which is quite a lot of crit damage. And the passive on this, basically you can get up to all of these buffs right here. So this triggers once every 30 seconds and you can either get 120% attack, which is useless on her. So that is one of the downsides. It's you basically can luck out or strike your luck bad and get the worst buff of them all. But you can also get 96% elemental damage bonus, which can be very good, especially if you are running a build that focuses on HP with your goblet instead of with, elemental damage. And then you can also get 480 elemental mastery, which could be very good if you are running her in vaporized team comps, something like that, or with Burgeon team comps. If you're running her alongside characters like Nilo, that could work very well. I could definitely see that. At R1 this still is performing very good as well, but R5 is what I would probably go for, just because the buffs just become so large that it really will make all the difference almost. Solar Pearl is an option from the Battle Pass, which I think is actually going to be very, very good on her kit. It does come with some bonus crit rate, 27%, so you can round out your crit rate and that kind of stuff. I don't think she's really going to suffer from a lack of crit rate, however crit rate is going to be nice considering she has quite a few damage instances. And then when we get to the passive on this, the R5 passive, of course, is very, very solid. 40% damage bonus to your elemental skill and elemental burst whenever you're hitting with normal attacks damage, which is part of her kit as well. But the one thing to keep in mind is that technically I think only her secondary damage is what does the normal attack damage. When she does most of her E skill, that is mostly converted to normal attack damage, and most of her attacks are normal attacks. Infuse is what that ends up being. However, a lot of her secondary damage has a lot of small damage instances, which with damage bonuses you can get a lot of good flat solid damage off of this, and also her burst is quite potent as well, so that is going to be very beneficial. At R1 this does still function pretty well. You only get half the benefits from this, so you are probably going to get quite a bit less of the flat damage just from the bonus on all those multiple damage instances. But I would rate this weapon quite highly, I would say, and that's mostly because of the crit rate and also the damage you can potentially get for your elemental burst, which I think is going to be very good for vaporized comps. The Prototype Amber I think will be more so an option if you're running her as your 4th slot, aka your healing slot, because this weapon basically allows you to heal whenever you basically use an elemental burst. But it says using an elemental burst regenerates 4 energy every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. All party members regenerate 4 HP every 2 seconds. So what this basically allows you to do is you can cast your burst a whole lot more, basically by regenerating energy. And then you can also heal your party members by a good bit of HP percent, and that will basically take away the need to use like a dedicated healer type slot, I would say. So quite a good weapon to use, plus it also has HP as it's scaling up to 41%, which is a good stat to have on her. The Fruit of Fulfillment is the craftable item from Sumeru, and basically what this one's passive does is it gives you some wax and wane effects right here, which is where you gain 24 elemental mastery while you lose 5 attacks percent for every 0.3 seconds. 1 stack of wax and wave can be gained. So basically every time you're triggering those reactions, you do get 24 elemental mastery. You can get up to 5 stacks of that. So that is going to be actually pretty good. This comes with ER percent, which will just help you get your burst up a lot faster as well. Her burst cost isn't like insanely high, but it is still like high enough that if you want to do it every rotation, you might need some ER, so it's beneficial there. But at R5 of this, you get 36% or 36 elemental mastery points times 5, so it does total out to be quite a bit of elemental mastery points that you're getting on here. And the attack percent, the 5% attack that you lose for each of those stacks, doesn't really affect her because she is an HP scaler, so quite an interesting weapon choice to go with. I do want to mention another 4-star weapon choice that is probably going to be releasing in Natlan that is very much focused around her kit. Basically, it has HP type stuff, and it's got like normal attack focus type stuff, so that is probably going to be coming out when Natlan actually does release. So I would say that that is probably going to be one of the better 4-star options. I don't know exactly how difficult that will be to acquire, but I know it will probably be a pretty good option to go with. And now getting into the 5-star weapon choice, the Lost Parade of the Sacred Winds, right off the bat is probably going to be one of the more easy ones to acquire and will actually be pretty good on her just because of this bonus crit rate. 33% is quite a substantial amount. Plus also 10% movement speed is going to be nice because then you can probably actually get a little bit faster speeds when you are using her E-skill, which I think will be pretty cool to see. You could probably also combine this with other movement speed buffs, but we have yet to see that since she's not released yet. But when in battle, you gain 8% elemental damage bonus every 4 seconds. So if she's your main on-fielder, you'll be able to get up to 4 stacks of this pretty easily. But it lasts until you leave combat or you fall in combat. So basically you have to be on field for approximately like 12 seconds basically. So that seems to be a, well actually it's 16 seconds to get the full bonus. You have to be on field 16 seconds to get the full bonus of this, but it still can be very beneficial because elemental damage bonus does give you a lot of benefit overall. The Jadefall Splendor is probably going to be a very, very good stat stick, just because this comes with bonus HP percent, up to 50% on here, so it is pretty good in that respect. And also, for 3 seconds after using Elemental Burst or creating a shield, so basically you can still trigger it by using her Elemental Burst. The equipping character can gain the Primordial Jade effects, which restores 4.5 energy every 2.5 seconds, and they also gain 0.3 elemental damage bonus for the corresponding elemental type for every 1,000 max HP they possess, and you can get up to 12% damage bonus on that. So basically, if you are running her with a lot of HP, this is going to be very good because then you are able to basically max out that buff and also basically factor into her damage already. But yeah, the main stat of the HP right here is probably the best stat and a very good stat stick that you're going to be able to have. Then of course we also have its counterpart, the Everlasting Moonglow, and this one gives you healing bonus increased by 10%. She doesn't heal, but also your normal attack damage is increased by 1% of the max HP of the character. So that is actually really good considering that she is very normal attack focused. I know this one is actually focused around Kokomi as her signature weapon, however I think for Mualani, this is actually going to be a very good weapon to go with as well. Plus you also get some energy restoration points in here as well. This does have the same amount of HP scaling as well, so really it's a choice between either this one or the Jade. But I would personally go Everlasting Moonglow over the Jade, just because this one is going to give you some normal attack specific damage, which is what I would probably end up building for Mualani at some point as well. Floating Dreams is a catalyst that I think could be very interesting if you are going for her in like Vaporized comps, Burgeon comps, stuff like that, basically reaction based stuff. This one comes with a lower base attack, but you do get a large amount of EM. You get 264% at 90, so that's quite a lot of EM. That will basically boost out a lot of your flat damage that you're getting from a lot of Danger type stuff. And the passive on this at R1 is pretty good as well, because when you have basically other party members, you can get buffs of either your elemental damage, or you can get buffs of your elemental mastery and give elemental mastery to your party members as well. So very, very good passive for your whole team comp if you're running this. If you are running her in teams with like Nahida and you're using this on Nahida, it'll still give her some good benefits as well. And then maybe you can slot in something like another one of the HP scaling weapons instead of this, if you're going for her as your damage dealer more so. The Remembrance Catalyst, this one is the Wanderer's Catalyst, and I think this is still going to be a pretty solid option to go with her, even though you do have a high base attack, so you get less crit damage. You still get 44 points of crit damage, which is still a good amount of damage bonus. And then the passive on this, normal attack speed being increased by 10%. I don't think it really affects Mualani very much, considering that she's not really doing attack animations necessarily, but she is doing normal attack damage. But when the wearer unleashes their elemental skill, your normal attack will be increased by 4.8 every second for 14 seconds. So that's quite a long duration. After hitting an opponent with a normal attack during this duration, normal attack damage will be increased by 9.6%. So that's basically that first trigger, I would say. And basically the maximum normal attack damage you can get during single overall effect is 48. So 48 is quite a good bit. And I think what this means is that, if I'm not mistaken on how this actually works, you slowly build up the 4.8, but if you are hitting with normal attacks, then you are going to get that 9% added every time you're hitting, basically, once every 0.3 seconds. So yeah, you can build it up pretty fast, so I think it'll work great with Mualani. However, it might not be as good overall as some of the other what do you call it, HP scaling things. However, I think this will be very good to run either if you are focusing HP on your main stats, then you can go with this and get some normal attack damage and crit damage to fill out your build, or alternatively you can go with like normal attack focused artifacts, and then you can go with an HP type of weapon is what I'm generally kind of theory crafting here. Supervision, this one is beneficial just because it has crit rate, but the passive on this, it's mostly attack focused basically, or based on HP increasing and decreasing, which doesn't seem to be as much of the theme of Natlan characters at the moment. But you do get some normal attack damage and charge attack damage bonus right here, but I just don't think that it is as good as running with the basically Wanderer's Weapon. I think Wanderer's Weapon is still a bit better than this one is, just saying, and also because like Mualani doesn't necessarily need as much crit rate as some other characters will either, so yeah. Tome of the Eternal Flow, I believe, is, what's his name's catalyst, and this one probably is a good option, just considering 88 points of bonus crit damage is pretty good, and you also get an HP increase by 16%, and when your HP decreases or increases, which you can do this with characters like, what's her name, Farina in your team, that can be pretty beneficial as well. Your charge attack damage will be increased by 14%, so she doesn't necessarily do charge attacks, but that's still pretty okay. Plus, you can also get some energy restoration from this, which I think is still pretty beneficial, and the 16 points of HP mixed with that, a high amount of crit damage, I think is going to make this a quite formidable weapon, if not even better than some of the HP scaling weapons, I would say. Yeah, one thing to keep in mind is that this weapon does what her signature weapon does, however, her signature weapon just does it better and is more focused and beneficial to her overall kit, I would say. So definitely I would take her signature weapon over this one, but there are still some pretty good options other than her signature to consider, especially this one.